Fallout 4's happening.
You don't know that.
Come on.
I've been hurt.
I think we know that.
I've been hurt too many times.
No, man, it's definitely happening this time.
It's. I want to believe.
I mean, they all but announced it. Like, they literally did everything except for announce it.
Yeah. I can't, though. Like, I really can't. After the Survivor 2299 and the Profiteer and that whole spiel, like, I'm just done. Until Bethesda's like, this is Fallout 4. It's on a game disc. We're handing it to you. I'm done. Can't do it.
Wait, so when Bethesda announces it, that's not going to be enough? They have to hand you the disc?
No, they have to show me.
Okay, yeah, no, I can kind of agree with him because, let's get real. How many times have a game company, like, has a game company, I should say, not have, announced a game only to not deliver it?
There's not been a game franchise.
Last Guardian.
Yeah, no, like Last Guardian. How many years did it take Bioshock Infinite to fucking come out?
Yeah.
I didn't even care about Bioshock Infinite until it was already out.
That was
the right way to go about it.
It was supposed to be like December 2011, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
then
it was supposed to be
got pushed back to February 2012, and now it's coming out this year.
Yeah, then November 2012.
It's coming out?
It came out this year.
Okay.
I mean, it's still coming out technically.
That's true.
Yeah.
So does it even count this year, or is that a game of next year?
I mean, considering the fact that it's a complete game experience, then the DLC isn't necessary for the core experience and should probably be avoided at all costs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can put the DLC in next year's Game of the Year competition.
No, we can't.
There's it. That's it. That's the joke. Cut. Print.
Welcome to the Bancast. As always, it's me, Fred. We got Levi.
Hello.
And we got Mike.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, Jesus. So we're doing our normal annual, semi-annual, biannual?
No, annual.
Let's just...
Doing
it's
our
annual now.
Doing our annual Game of the Year discussion. This time we've got it set up a little bit differently. We've got a little tournament bracket. We have taken 16 suggestions as far as what Game of the Year has been, and we stuck with games that we mostly either liked or played, at least. And there were games that were suggested, such as Gunpoint, which is good, but not quite as good as anything else on the list. What was that new David Cage game?
Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe Adventures.
I meant the actual game.
That's it. Mean, that's about it.
It's the Adventures of Ellen Page and William Dafoe.
Had a number
Chronicles.
of people suggest that, but it's Game of the Year, not Movie of the Year discussion. So.
Oh, snap.
Oh, snap, indeed.
Get dunked.
I like how you're like making it out like that, and not that I just would have lost my shit if that was anywhere near this bracket.
No. It's not a good game. It's not a good game, and it's not Game of the Year. So that's all that really matters.
Okay.
So first up, let's just dunk right into it.
What does matter is Game of the Year, and
Right.
any of these following games could possibly be it.
And that's the thing. So everything that's on this list is good. Everything. There's not a single game on here that is bad.
Keep in mind that is our collective subjective opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's
Some
another
of them
thing.
are-
The Bancast Game of the Year is not the Game of the Year. It's the game that we think is the best out of what we've played and what we've experienced. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Gran Turismo 6 may have been the greatest game of all time. None of us played it. None of us care about that kind of game, so it's not going to win.
Same thing goes for Call of Duty Ghosts, Battlefield 4. No, but I can't even joke about that. Battlefield 4 is just a broken mess.
Yeah,
So-
but it might have dinosaurs. There are rumors. There are mysteries deep within the ether about there might being dinosaurs.
But
I
we
might have to
don't.
change my mind on that then.
We don't judge based on conjecture. We're all about the stone cold facts, and
The
that's
stone
Yeah.
cold facts,
What
such
we're
as
here to
stone
talk
cold
about.
dinosaur bones.
stone cold
Right.
dinosaur bones.
Right now there aren't dinosaurs, so right now we don't care.
But what we are going to talk about is the games. Gentlemen, you want to pop off the first A bracket?
I think you would be more suited to this one because
yeah,
I think
I'm not
you
really
have
qualified
I
for
think
this
you have a
one.
vested interest in both of these titles.
Well, unfortunately, I have an opinion. So what we're going to do as far as the rules of discussion on this is each of us is going to take a side, and then we will argue with the other people about why that side is the best side.
I think the word discussion might be better.
No, it's just going to be a fucking all-out brawl.
I think
between
debate.
This is it, ladies and gentlemen.
Heated
this is what
debate.
breaks the Bancast.
heated debate, yes.
Okay.
So our first two contenders are Nuclear Throne by Vlambeer and Metal Gear Rising by Kojima and Platinum Games.
I
And
think I'm looking at the wrong bracket. Hold on.
Oh, well, fine. Then I'll read them out, because I have a feeling it might randomize it each time.
Yeah, because I've got Nuclear Throne and Stanley Parable next to each other for me.
No, that's not right. So, Nuclear Throne and Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. It is in the thing. Did you click the link? The right link?
I did.
Okay. Nuclear Throne versus Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
Okay.
Are your sides picked?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who wants to start the discussion?
Well, I'm pretty sure you guys are both on Nuclear Throne, and I'm probably going to sit firmly on my Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
Why is Metal Gear Rising Revengeance better than Nuclear Throne? What makes the game so good?
I mean, once again, this is just my opinion. For Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, the game is just...
Let's just stop right there. This is all subjective. None of this is an objective fact. From here on, it's all opinion. So go on.
But yeah, rolling out from that, I don't know, Metal Gear Rising for me is just fun. Like, it's just pure ridiculous, fucking ridiculously over the top, cheesy fun, and I am all about games like that. You know, I'm not saying Nuclear Throne is bad by any sense. I mean, those guys put together a very good game. It's obvious that there's a lot of hard work going into it, but I don't know, there's just something about playing Metal Gear Rising, and it's probably got everything to do with the company and the team behind it, that reminds me of the first time I picked up and played Devil May Cry, and just like the just complete kind of self-aware stupidity of the whole thing, that it just kind of throws all pretense out the window and just goes, fuck it, we're just gonna have a crazy balls out action fun ride. If you want to come along, grab Raiden's butt cheeks and let's go.
For me, Metal Gear Rising was incredibly fun. Like, it had an amazing soundtrack, and it was just fun throughout. Like, I have said that it's the worst Metal Gear, but the most fun Metal Gear. Because it does everything Metal Gear completely wrong. It is not about sneaking. It is not about nanomachines. It's not about really heavy plot. It's just about... I mean, like, it tries. It tries with its heavy plot.
For like a minute, maybe.
With phrases like, this will be on the scale of 9/11 times 10. Things like that. Like, it has its moments, but it's no Metal Gear. But at the same time, it's incredibly fun to just fucking hack and slash away at stuff in that game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and that's the other thing. The combat in that game is so fucking good.
But on the flip side, Nuclear Throne's combat is also fantastic.
Right.
A different kind of fantastic, although the slow motion sword fighting in Nuclear Throne is also fantastic. I don't know. Where do you sit, Levi?
I've probably played equal amounts of both of these, which is to say not very long. But in that amount of time, I'd say that Metal Gear Rising Revengeance grabbed me a little bit more than Nuclear Throne.
Wow.
Really?
I did not think that's where you're going to be sitting on this one.
No,
I
not
didn't
at
either,
all.
but I spent some time with Nuclear Throne recently, and it's a fun game, but it was sort of... I don't know, it was something that didn't really click right with me. It was weird. It was, I don't know how to explain it. But
would you say rough around the edges and unfinished?
It was rough around the edges, yes. In all seriousness, this may be included in 2014's Game of the Year, because guess what?
Done.
It's not done. It's in pre-release. It's in, early access right now. And with Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, I was in it from the jump. Like, oh, you get to fight freaking gigantic two-legged nuclear launching mech things, and okay, all right, whatever.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. I was kind of in the middle. If we've got 2 4 and 1 kind of 4, then let's go Metal Gear Rising Revengeance for that one. Boosh. I have to set a score. Maybe this wasn't the best method for doing this thing. All right.
1-0.
Okay. Next up, Bioshock Infinite versus Super Mario 3D World. I will say that one of these is an incredibly fun game, and one of these has an amazing story. And Super Mario 3D World delivers on the story from the start to the finish.
What? Come on.
This is a wash, right? You guys haven't even played Super Mario 3D World?
No,
I mean, I've been watching some stuff on it just because I've heard so much.
That's not what I said.
No, I know. But like, if you've played a Mario game, it's easy to kind of see what they've changed. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Bioshock Infinite.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Bioshock Infinite as well. So we don't even need to have a discussion on this one yet.
That story and everything.
So, yeah, Bioshock. Boosh. Bioshock is better than Super Mario 3D World. Next up is Pokemon X and Y versus Tomb Raider. Did you guys like Tomb Raider?
This is one of those brackets where I think I will probably have to abstain.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, I haven't played either of them.
Oh, I thought you were all stoked for Tomb Raider.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that was me.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. You know what? I'm like, I've only played a very small bit of Pokemon XY, because I just got my 2DS. But oh man, I don't know. I'm probably gonna go Pokemon XY on this. While I did like a lot of the changes that was it Crystal Dynamics?
Yeah.
Was that the okay? The Crystal Dynamics made on Tomb Raider. I didn't like the story. I didn't like the characterization of Lara Croft as this very, and I understand she's in the beginning of her career at this point.
Sure.
But, like, I didn't like the whole, like, oh, she's weak and you're supposed to feel like you've got to protect her and blah, blah, blah and all this stuff. And just how the violence had no fucking, restraint in it.
Except for the first time that she killed somebody, she's like, "Oh my god, I killed someone! Oh, here's 10 more." Yeah,
and it's not. And what I mean is not just that. It's like it's not even that moment. It's when the camera pans up. It's like, let's linger on this dude's blasted out head. All right, you can go.
Okay, did you see the trailer for the definitive edition that's coming to next-gen consoles?
I did not.
The trailer has scenes of Lara Croft, like, running from rafter to rafter, sticking a shotgun in a dude's stomach, and then pulling the trigger, and then moving on to kill the next guy and the next guy. And watching that, I was like, that's not Tomb Raider.
No, and that's the point I was getting to, is that Tomb Raider is for a game called Tomb Raider, I did not feel like I was raiding tombs.
No, you're in that first tomb, and you're working on getting out of it, and then it's Island Raider.
Yeah, and then because like the second after you do that first tomb, you're pretty much playing Far Cry 3. Like you're trying to rescue your buddies and get off a shitty island with shitty people.
Yeah. I would argue for Pokemon X and Y just because it was like, as far as taking old, tired franchises and injecting something new into it, Tomb Raider did a really good job with their hair technology, but Pokemon X and Y had some actual gameplay to it. So I would vote Pokemon over Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I'm going to go Pokemon only because I don't like the direction they're taking the Tomb Raider franchise with this.
Yeah. Next one will have zombies, I bet.
Can't wait.
Don't joke. Don't joke.
So Pokemon wins. So next up is kind of an unfair pairing, probably. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. What? I don't know why that's not working. Fuck it. We've got Gone Home versus Animal Crossing New Leaf. Levi.
This is it's a weird pairing for me. Both of these games, I think I started
and enjoyed both, right?
I've played and enjoyed both, but it's also like as time progressed, I sort of grew to like almost disdain them. Like my opinion of them transformed the longer I either played them or thought about them in the case of Gone Home, and played them in the case of New Leaf. As far as Gone Home is concerned, I feel like it's sort of this almost try hard type of games. It's like I don't want to disparage them in any way, but I feel like it was trying too hard to be edgy. Like it wanted to, be like, oh, it's this haunted house thing, but it's not real. Like spoilers, it's just about this girl that leaves home.
That's what I got from playing it from the beginning. I didn't really pick up on any like haunted stuff. I was just kind of like, this place is a little creepy, I guess.
Well, at one point you're going down the stairs and the light bulb goes out or something like that, and it's supposed to spook you. It's supposed to be real spooky.
That game, I haven't spent enough time with Gone Home, I guess, which from what I understand you can beat it in 5 minutes, but I was going around reading and looking through everything. I'm like, this is a nice little like house that somebody modeled and rendered. And
yeah, there is almost zero depth to the gameplay. It's basically just wandering around until doors start to open up for you.
Yeah.
And it tells an okay story, but it was a little heavy-handed in its presentation.
And Animal Crossing is just a fucking magical world.
A magical world
of time sink.
It's a guilt trip. Like, oh, you haven't been around in a week.
See,
you must hate
it
us.
only becomes a guilt trip if you get away from the game long enough. So
yeah,
as long as
you're being held captive by a game. Is what's happening.
I don't know. I loved that game though, and I don't know. Maybe it's not as wonderful as I thought it was. But
if it didn't demand so much of your time, like you have to play that game. You can't stop and play something else. There's nothing that you can do to like put that on pause.
Yeah, and I guess like, I don't know, the mayor of Banton had moved on to become a demon fighter and then also a Pokemon master and is now the hero of time. So Banton is a rotten little place full of decay and probably not a lot of residents anymore. So I don't know which I'd vote for though between the two of them. I feel like Animal Crossing is the better game because it's Gone Home is infinitesimally short and Animal Crossing lasts forever.
Yeah, they're sort of on different ends of the scale. I would probably say Animal Crossing.
Mike, do you have a vote at all in this one?
I don't. I've not played Gone Home, and I actually do not like the Animal Crossing games, so
Gotcha.
I'm gonna abstain from this one.
Fair enough. Cool. This next one is hard. It's real hard for me. It's Zelda: A Link Between Worlds versus Grand Theft Auto 5. The issue is that they're both amazing
Yeah.
in everything that they do. So, Levi, I'm gonna let you present GTA 5, and Mike, you're gonna present Link Between Worlds, because I have a
Okay.
feeling that's the split, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with Levi.
GTA 5 was sort of the first time in that series where I felt like you were a part of an actual story instead of just doing fetch quests. It's I don't know, I don't want to say evolution, but it's an extension of the franchise, and it does a really good job of putting you in the position of the character in that story, of the characters in that story. And it's a lot of fun to sort of see like how they progress through this world.
And there is actual character progression, which
There
is
is.
crazy.
I feel like it could have been a little bit more open-ended in the story. There's sort of, towards the end, there's a binary choice that seems sort of apropos of nothing. And for a game that is like as large and like diverse as it is, I feel like they could have put that choice in front of you maybe a little bit earlier and maybe a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, maybe not just a little phone
Yeah.
decision.
Right. But other than that, it's just a stellar experience. The mechanics are like basically the tightest, like shooting, driving, gunplay, all that stuff. It's just awesome. Like it's super easy to get a hold of, and it's fun to do, and it's just cool to be in that world.
Yeah, Mike?
With Zelda, I mean, I guess a lot of it is taking something old and doing great things with it without like drastically changing the mold. I mean, a lot of why I think a lot of people have really kind of latched onto A Link Between Worlds is that it's a reminder of why we give a shit about Zelda games. It's big without being overwhelming. The game provides a concise, fun kind of modular adventure in the sense that you get to choose how you approach certain tasks, and there's just a lot of neat little problem solving mechanics. The gameplay is familiar. The new things that they added in don't feel like gimmicks. They feel they're welcome additions. And the game just has a lot of heart, and I think that's something that a lot of games I don't want to. I don't know. Maybe not lack, but aren't readily made apparent. Is the heart in games and just kind of the spirit of just kind of going out and having this big adventure, and like the world not being such a abysmal, awful place, just littered with abysmal, awful people. On the story front.
Is that a shot at GTA 5? Is that how it is?
I mean, a little bit, because like I really enjoyed GTA 5. Don't get me wrong, but like everyone in that game is such a shitty person.
That's
Yeah.
not
Like-
entirely true, but for the most part, yes.
You basically hate everybody. I understand.
Yeah, like the game does very little for you to like people. Like of course people like Trevor because he's fun and hilarious, and Franklin,
Trevor, because he had the best character progression. He had the saddest moments, and
and stuff like that. But like there's so much cynicism, not just in GTA, but in a lot of games. It's from larger developers.
Link Between
I should
Worlds
say.
has none of that.
Yeah, there is no cynicism in A Link Between Worlds, and it for me that was very refreshing. The gameplay, I love it. It's it's tight. The game runs at a smooth 60 frames. The dungeons are really neat, and really my only complaint at the end of the day with A Link Between Worlds is that there wasn't more of it for me to play.
All
Does
right.
it have
My turn to weigh in.
super broke ass multiplayer on it though?
It actually has
There is
super
multiplayer,
good
actually.
multiplayer.
Yeah, because you get to like pay, like you can send your link out to fight other
It's
people.
asynchronous, yeah. It's actually
But-
fantastic.
but-
No.
Does it get
Hold
stuck on the very first screen?
I want to
like,
handle this differently.
because
So GTA 5 has this big, amazing world with a ton of things to do in it. And yeah, not all of them are perfect, but it nailed all of the things that GTA has been fun because of. Driving is great, shooting is great, exploring fucking mountaintops and stuff is amazing. You can fly a plane, jump out of the plane, throw on your parachute, and then just decide to jump out of your parachute and like land on somebody if you feel like it. It's a game that realizes that dicking around is so important that they tied Go Limp to B, so you just ragdoll into shit.
Right.
Like, they definitely knew what they were doing with this game, and it's a game that had an insanely large crew of developers. It's the most expensive game ever made, and it made the most amount of money ever, I think. Or
Yeah.
it broke some insane records, but for all of the wonderful things that it does, it has its litany of problems. Mike, you mentioned that Zelda runs at a smooth 60 frames per second, and that's with 3D on. GTA 5 runs at a peanut butter chunky 15 to 24 frames per second, and that's when not much is going on. The online play has a lot of issues. For the most part, it's not particularly fun, and it really should be, especially considering how incredibly fun the single player can be. It's like they took all of the assets and stuck them in a different engine, which I actually think is what happened. Where am I going with this? GTA 5 is going to be one of the best games ever made when it comes out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One, but it doesn't belong on the platforms that it's currently available for. And so I would say that because of that, because of its faults and because of Link Between Worlds, just copious amounts of positives, I would say that Link Between Worlds is the better of the two.
That's fair. I get it.
Levi loses that round. All right, next round.
That's what all that was about.
Saints Row 4 versus The Last of Us. So here's the issue. I haven't played Last of Us, and I've heard it's amazing. That's my problem.
You're not incorrect.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Levi and I can talk all day about Saints Row 4, and I guess Mike can talk about Last of Us.
Yeah.
Can you? Would you?
No, I can.
Okay, so hit us up with some reason why Last of Us is better than Saints Row 4.
I mean, just on the narrative standpoint, it's Naughty Dog, again, bringing its A game. They managed to tell a very kind of human story that's about, just survival people, doing what they have to do to get by. The game is beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous, which I guess at this point is to be expected of Naughty Dog. The voice acting, as always, is stellar. The stealth sections with the infected are really tense. There's a lot of tension in the game with those sections, especially because you don't have a plethora of supplies, so there's actually some element of survival, especially at the front end. I will say the gunplay is typical Naughty Dog fare. If you've played an Uncharted game, you see waist high cover, you know the drill. But overall, it's, like I said, it's another one of those quintessential Naughty Dog experiences. If you like the story of the Uncharted games, the character of the Uncharted games, the same kind of level of attention is given to the characters of The Last of Us, and you would have a game that Ellen Page should have been in.
Saints Row 4 is stupid fun. From
Yep.
start to finish. It has a terrible, stupid story that is so hilariously well told, and every moment that the dumb story brings into it is complemented by fantastic and wonderful gameplay. Just as a brief synopsis, in the previous 3 games, you ran a gang called the Saints that were so popular that they became famous for being bad guys. And in the beginning of Saints Row 4, you save the world and become the president of the United States. Quickly thereafter, aliens invade, destroy the planet. You get stuck in a simulated version of Saints Row 3, and you're given superpowers such as running fast, jumping, gliding, and being amazing. The game is ridiculously fun. It is some of the most fun that I think I've had this year. I think that I had more fun with it than I had with GTA 5, although GTA 5 was probably a superior game to it in many other ways, in that it told a good story very well and was also complemented by very good gameplay. What do you got to say about it, Levi?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you have to say. Saints Row 4 was, I don't know, it's almost like a Weird Al version of a serious song by somebody else. It's
like a Weird Al version of GTA?
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous to the point that you can do nothing else but go along with it. Like at one point, you're freaking at the very beginning mission, you're in like a stealth suit climbing a rocket and Aerosmith is playing in the background and freaking you're like, you're saving the world from terrorists, and then you jump off this rocket and you land in the White House for some reason. Like, at
You
that
literally
point,
fall into the presidency.
you literally fall into the Oval Office, into the chair, and you kick your feet back, and you're like, "What's up? I guess I'm president now." So it sticks with it sort of highlights a lot of video game conventions, like the binary choice aspect, where press A to do this, press B to do this, whatever, and it does this in a way that is making fun of.
The first choice in the game is you're president, and it says, would you like to be the president that cures cancer or ends world hunger?
Right.
It, of course, has no effect over the rest of the game, but it gives you that binary choice right in the beginning of the game.
Yeah. And it does all, like, stuff like that all over the place. Like, it makes fun of the Mass Effect, I guess, romance system.
Oh, yeah.
In that you can just basically F anything. Like, it's all fair game. Doesn't
Anything
matter.
but the vice president, because you don't swing that way.
Because Keith David is the man.
Yeah.
And it does all that stuff with just this, like, the exact opposite of heavy-handedness. It is, like, totally cash when it comes to, like, breaking convention, well, not breaking conventions, but sort of exemplifying conventions in a way that makes you laugh. Like, I don't know, it's video games with a Z.
Yeah.
It's like, check this out, video games. I don't know what other way to say it, but
Not to mention the co-op was incredibly fun.
yeah, co-op is a lot of fun.
It
flying
because
around
it
the
doesn't
world.
take itself seriously in any regard. It allows the game to just be as fun as it wants to be.
Right.
I personally vote for it way over Last of Us, which is probably unfair. The issue is that I haven't played Last of Us, and I believe that it probably is one of the best games of the year. If I were ever given the choice without knowing anything about either of the games, I would probably still go for Saints Row 4. Just because it seems like it's fun, whereas Last of Us seems like it's going to be sad, depressing, and tell me a wonderful story. So,
Oh yeah, I mean, like, it does that within the first 10 minutes.
yeah, I've heard that the first 15 minutes will make people cry, which
Yeah.
I guess I want to do that at some point. I don't know. I am happy to eat crow on it another time, but I'm gonna say Saints Row 4 is better.
I'm going to say Saints Row 4.
Okay.
Cool. So Mike loses
Like, why is this a...
because
Trunks makes
alright.
it personal.
He does.
Yeah, no shit.
All right. And then the last for... Oh, wait, no, sorry. I skipped this one because it's a no-brainer for me. The pairing on this one is Fire Emblem Awakening versus the Stanley Parable. I'm going to start off by saying the Stanley Parable is the best non-game I've ever played. And
Like, in all seriousness, Stanley Parable, one of my favorites this year.
yeah, Fire Emblem Awakening was incredibly good in terms of strategy. Wait, did that come out this year?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Fred.
I picked it
Sure.
up in the summer. Did it come out this year, though?
Oh my god, I'm looking it up right now.
Fire Emblem Awakening.
Pretty sure it did. I'm pretty sure it came out at the beginning of the year. Bing, bum, ba, bum, 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 bum.
February 4th,
Yes.
2013, yes.
Okay, so it did come out this year.
It did.
Jesus.
Mike, do you want to take the point? Do you want to argue for Fire Emblem Awakening?
Yes, actually.
Okay, let's hear it.
Just by virtue of the fact that, as you said, Fire Emblem's a game. I understand the message of the Stanley Parable. I understand what it's trying to do, and I appreciate it. I didn't like it.
How many times
Oh.
did you beat it?
I went through it about 3 times. I guess 4 if you count the time where I opened a door and it was just a brick wall, so I had to restart.
That's not one of the endings.
No, I guess the game must have bugged out then. But it didn't do anything for me. I went through it, and like I said, I understand the message it was trying to tell, but I think for me it was purely just because of the delivery of the narrator. The condescension that just litters every word of his voice, which I understand is part of his character. All it did was constantly keep me from giving a shit. Like, the entire time I went through it, I was trying to care about what it was doing, and I was trying to, and I was kind of processing everything, and I was like, I understand why people like it, but that choice of narrator, the kind of smarmy, uppity John Cleese voice that they were going for, just completely pushed me away from the experience. And I understand its importance, and so I'm not going to debate that at all. But with Fire Emblem, I got a game that was a satisfying experience, did right by the strategy game genre, and provided a challenge. While with the Stanley Parable, I felt like I was being talked down to by developers saying that their ideas are better than my need for gameplay.
Okay, cool. So I will counter that with my issues with Fire Emblem, which were the gameplay is incredibly solid. It offers a super good strategy RPG experience. The permadeath system of units makes them seem a little more important, but ultimately kind of makes them about as useful as their items. They all have durability, and then eventually they pass. Granted, they will survive as long as I'm a good player, but ultimately the fact that they could die made me care less about them, because I knew that I'm a shitty player and therefore they are going to die, and there's nothing I can do to save them other than not play the game.
Right.
Also, the story was hot garbage.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's most strategy RPGs.
Yeah, no, that's true. That they spend all the...
Not Gladius. What's up?
No, I mean, like, there's a few out there, but I mean, like, you know, I paid... Really, out of all the ones I've played, the only tactics RPG I've ever played for the story was, like, Final Fantasy Tactics.
Right, which has an excellent story, but, like, I can agree with that. Like, I spent 76 hours on Disgaea 3 on my Vita, and God knows I never gave a shit about the story. Like, the characters were funny and cutesy, but most of the time I was just waiting for the cutscene to end.
Yeah.
But... for me, Fire Emblem is... I went into it expecting an RPG, which an RPG... granted a strategy RPG, but like role-playing games tend to put me in the role of a character who I care about and a story I care about, and Fire Emblem absolutely failed to do that for me.
Mm-hmm.
Stanley Parable, the reason I think it's so fantastic is because of all the different things that they did. And for you to say that you got through 3 of the endings and all you got was the condescending narrator, granted, he is mostly condescending almost all of the time, but the way that you can combat him with some of your choices and some of the things that you do, and when you expose his weakness as a character, some of those moments were probably the best in the game. When he tries to do things in the story, he tries to do things to the game to make them more to your liking, and you continuously fight him over it over and over again, and he just becomes more and more defeated until the very end. That was probably some of the more powerful gameplay experience. Not to mention, the game made me laugh my ass off. I think I laughed harder at that game than any game I've ever played before.
Yeah.
Levi, you go ahead.
Yeah, Stanley Parable was sort of like... it's very much like Saints Row in this regard, and it's pointing out these conventions in video games that maybe most people don't think of, but like if you're at all versed in game design, you encounter these problems, these decisions that you have to make, and this is like, you know, it's saying to the player that because of the limits or the I guess conditions that game designers have to do or have to meet, that's why a game turns out the way it does. And Stanley Parable does that in such a way that you're not angry about it. Right. You're almost understanding.
Yeah, it's all about the futility of choice in games and the illusion of choice in games.
It really is, yeah.
But the fact that it like kind of mires itself in it so much, it makes you start feeling like, in some of the endings at least, that you really do have an effect on it. And there is no real gameplay to it other than opening some doors, making some choices, which I guess you can extrapolate that to say that, well, I mean, Pong is really just about moving left and moving right, so that's your choice. And so it's as much a game as Stanley Parable is in that regard. Like, there's a fail state, there is a win state. I don't know. Like, there is no way in my heart of hearts that I could ever say that Stanley Parable is less of a game than Fire Emblem Awakening.
Right. No, and I think that's completely fair. I think for me, I look at Stanley Parable the same way I look at Journey, or the same way I look at, you know, like Flower, you know, any of those, the games made by that game company. I don't really look at them as games. I look at them as experiences.
Yeah. I feel like,
you know,
one other thing is you said you got 3 endings, which granted should be enough to charm anybody if they're going to be charmed. But the game does have 18 different endings. So the 3 that you got, like, if you got 3, like the 3 weakest endings in the game, then maybe perhaps that is why. But
I wouldn't say. I mean, one of them was just the follow the straight line path, and I just because I was curious.
Well, even follow the straight path, like you get presented an option at the end that is. If you did you just do everything the narrator said throughout the entire thing?
Yeah, I pretty much just went through because I was just curious.
Yeah.
Like for me, it was a curiosity thing.
Yeah,
and I think that's sort of them.
Second time.
That's sort of them poking fun at the idea that if you do follow everything the developer says, maybe it's not going to be as fun as striking out on your own.
Yeah. And because I did the completely contrarian one where he eventually like traps you with a phone call and all that shit.
And what did you do? Did you answer the phone?
Yeah, because when I was doing it, the door was locked.
Yeah, no, the door is locked. That ending also, I feel like, sucks. That one is very much like he controls everything and you have no choice.
Yeah, and I can't remember what the third one was. It was the one where it says exit, like right before when you're going down the path. I was like, I wonder what this exit is. So I kind of went down and kind of followed that path. But yeah, so it might be just the endings I was experienced to.
There's an ending, so just in the phone room, I don't want to get too into spoilers because the experiences are the entire game for anybody who hasn't listened. Here's the thing, Stanley Parable's $15. You should go buy it under any circumstance and at least give it a shot. And you should definitely play the demo because it has nothing to do with the game, which is amazing. And you should watch the trailers because they also have absolutely nothing to do with the game. It's a big meta game that isn't. It's hard to explain why I love it so much, but you're presented the option of answering the phone or not answering the phone. There's another option that you wouldn't really expect, which is you can go and unplug the phone. And that gives you a completely different ending where several more things can happen from there, and all of them are kind of magical. The idea of playing the game, it's like you're presented with your first choice, which is to go left or go right. And he says he enters the door on the left. The first time I said fuck that and went into the door on the right, and he like chastised me for that. I felt so empowered because I was like, fuck you, I'm not gonna do what you tell me, and I'm gonna keep going and doing things that you tell me not to do. And then once in a while I'll do the thing you tell me to, and then I'll do the wrong thing again. And that is the essence of freedom in that game, despite the fact that it is all an illusion because everything is scripted. There is no way to break the game, and even when you do break the game, he gives you a long speech about, haha, you thought you broke the game, but here's the thing. Did you really, or did we program this in there specifically for the sake of messing with you? And and that's my big point, is that you were mentioning about games not being heavy-handed. I felt Stanley Parable was incredibly heavy-handed. Oh, it absolutely was.
And that's my issue. The game has no what's the word I'm looking for? There's no brevity to it. Like, and which I understand is the point of the game. But just my taste, and I get that. But for me, my tastes, how I guess like certain things in gameplay, especially in the narrative sense, it just rubbed me the wrong way, because like I said, it just came off not just condescending from the narration standpoint, but from the developer standpoint.
Yeah. All right. I still think Stanley Parable's better than Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean, and that's completely valid.
Cool.
Like, I'm just kind of rooted in how I feel.
Mike doesn't lose this one. Well, he does lose in the sense that we're not agreeing.
Going with Fire Emblem.
Yeah. Last on the list is Risk of Rain versus Ridiculous Fishing. Ridiculous Fishing being a very good mobile game, possibly one of the best mobile games I've ever played on a cell phone. Does anybody want to argue for Ridiculous Fishing?
I haven't played it, so I can't. Seriously, everything I know about the game is what you've told me.
Gotcha.
But from what you've told me, it sounds like a very solid game, but there's something about Risk of Rain that I just really enjoy. So it sounds like even if I had played Ridiculous Fishing, I probably still would have stuck with Risk of Rain.
Okay. I'm in the same boat. I like Ridiculous Fishing for what it is, but it is very beholden to mobile gaming conventions.
It is, and I feel like the one thing that it does really well is it embraces all of those things and makes them all very solid. All the restraints of being a mobile game, like there are no buttons, so therefore the UI and all of the elements in the game are built around the fact that there are no buttons.
You basically
it's iOS only, right?
No,
it's on Android now.
Yeah.
Okay. I will be sure to give it a look then.
Game's
just so that way I can
$2.99 $1.99, which is expensive for a mobile game, but it has no in-app purchases or any kind of advertising or anything. It's just, well, it does have advertising, but it's hilarious. They created their own fake Twitter system where it's in-game characters advertising themselves on a plank of wood that is your phone. Yeah,
that's not bad at all.
Ridiculous Fishing is worth $3, and anybody with a mobile phone should pick it up. But it is one of the most beautiful mobile games I've ever seen. Risk of Rain is not one of the prettiest games I've ever played, but man, it is fun. So
see, but that's I think my thing with Risk of Rain is there's something charming about the graphics.
Oh yeah.
And with the constraints in which they obviously limited themselves to, they managed to do a lot with those like really small, lightly pixelated character models. There's a certain dynamic quality to all the characters, even though there are how many pixels again? Like
some of them are like 6 pixels tall by like 3 pixels,
which is ridiculously tiny. But they managed to get a lot of character into those pixels, which I think is an achievement in itself. Like for like watching the engineer lobbing his little grenades and like his dumb little shuffle, like you kind of get a sense that even though there's no like dialogue, you kind of get a feel for how the character is.
Yeah, that communication to the player is very much a part of sort of the aesthetic.
Yeah,
it's a great game. Like it's a lot of fun.
It's so fun. I've been getting a lot of my other friends to pick it up, so if we want to do a 10-man, we'll probably have the people.
That's the thing also. So this game, is it done or is it in early access?
No, it's done.
Well? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's done, but
it was kickstarted.
Man, it is such a solid game. We can come back to it though. Let's go to the top of the list.
It wins this round though.
Let's go to the second round of games. Okay. So first up, we've got 2 heavy hitters. Metal Gear Rising and Bioshock Infinite.
Fuck. No, actually, I know which one I'm going to go for.
All right. Levi, you go first.
You know which one I'm going to do. I'm going to say Bioshock.
You're a real Metal Gear fan. So.
Yeah, you should. I'm going to go Bioshock Infinite.
Okay.
The narrative is, it's just one of the best.
What about you, Mike?
Now I'm second guessing myself.
You don't know what I'm going to argue, so just go with your first.
Yeah, you know what? Like, as much as I love Bioshock, and don't get me wrong, on the narrative level, that game hit me harder than, like, Journey did. Like, that game fucking destroyed me after I first played it, because that game lingers. Like, that game, like, when you're done playing Bioshock Infinite, you kind of just sit there and go, oh, that wasn't so bad. That wasn't so bad. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, everything. My life is so sad now. But on a gameplay sense, I feel like it leaves a lot to be desired, and because of that, I'm going to go with Metal Gear Rising, because just on a pure visceral gameplay level, that game just makes my dick rock hard. Like, it is just so fun, and the DLC is so fun, and like...
Oh, I haven't played the DLC yet.
Yeah, it is a blast, and I think that's the big thing, is just like, with Platinum Games, period, even if the story is going to be absolute bullshit or just crazy to the point of like unintelligible, their mechanics are going to be... Yeah, completely.
Absolutely is. Thing is, like, I am the guy that had spent a lot of time both in the official and unofficial wikis for Metal Gear, and even I didn't fully understand what the fuck happened in Rising. So, and not that it matters, because it doesn't have anything to do with the Metal Gear series anyway. But.
No, but like on a completely, like, if I'm going on just a pure gameplay level, which in this case I am, if we were going for like, game with best story, yeah, I would go Bioshock clean sweep. But on a just overall game, I would say Metal Gear Rising is a better game.
We're being entirely subjective here as well. So I mean, like, that's the important thing. Bioshock Infinite. Okay, let me preface this by saying I did not like Bioshock 1. I got too lost in it, and I didn't really enjoy the gameplay. The story was amazing. The the atmosphere was some of the best I've ever seen in a game, and everything about it was amazing, but it just wasn't fun. And Bioshock 2 was kind of the same way. Bioshock Infinite did not change that, where the entire game, the shooting mechanics were not particularly enjoyable. Plasmids were fun. I didn't like the skyhook system until pretty close to the end of the game. And so on a gameplay thing, it really failed. But the story really really, really kicked my ass. And I felt like throughout the entire game, I didn't actually care until I got to probably the last half hour, once things started unraveling upon themselves, and then just kind of kicked into overdrive. And I had way more fun with Metal Gear Rising, but I have thought more about Bioshock. And
Yeah.
I think because Bioshock sticks with me, I would vote it over Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
No, that's fair. Because for me, this is a really hard decision for me to make.
Also, I would get hung if I voted Metal Gear Rising over Bioshock Infinite. So, Bioshock it is.
Oh, thank goodness.
Am I gonna have to worry about something at IkiCon there, Levi?
That was a close one, honestly. Like, I felt
Friendships
like
were about to get destroyed.
I felt like I was gonna have to give a rebuttal.
No, I mean,
I know.
because I don't think anyone's arguing against either game's like good points. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, Levi, you haven't finished Metal Gear, though.
No.
And you really, really should. Oh, and to its merit, Bioshock's DLC has been kind of not great, whereas apparently Metal Gear's has. So
it's and like I said, like if we were going for if we were just going on like the narrative level, I would be like Bioshock the whole way through.
Yeah,
like just
and that's the thing. I feel like
shit.
the narrative of Bioshock outweighs the gameplay of Metal Gear Rising for me.
Okay, no, I mean that's completely like I'm not upset either way. Like I win in this no matter what choice. So
So Mike wins.
Next, Mike wins, I lose. Next round, Pokemon X and Y versus Animal Crossing New Leaf.
I'm Pokemon. Like that's
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Animal Crossing.
Really? Like even okay, I haven't played Pokemon X and Y. I am just so angry at Animal Crossing. I'm so mad. I am, Leia. Like I'm betrayed at how much time I poured into that game, and it's like, hey, how about some more, buddy? I'm like, no, I can't do this anymore.
Fred
Animal Crossing.
Fred loses Pokemon X and Y. Next round is a difficult one. Not really. Zelda Link Between Worlds versus Saints Row 4.
I see how this
Zelda.
is gonna go.
Saints Row 4 is super fun. Link Between Worlds is a super good game.
I'm gonna say
Super
Saints Row
good.
4, and I'm going to be outnumbered. I assume.
That's because you haven't played A Link Between Worlds yet.
That's true. That's probably true.
I feel like if you had played it, in your mind, I think that you would choose Zelda over Saints Row. Here's the thing. Saints Row 4 was super good, but Saints Row 3 was better than Saints Row 4.
It really was, yeah. Saints Row 4 was an expansion that got, sort
turned
of
into a full game.
Yeah,
a big reason why Saints Row 4 is so high up on my list of games of the year this year is because I didn't play Saints Row 3 until this year. I played it a week before Saints Row 4 came out.
Right.
And so Saints Row 4 is the best DLC to come out for Saints Row 3.
Yeah, well, and I was gonna say conversely, like I don't think it's unfair to say that this is one of the best Zelda games ever made.
Yeah, it wicked is. We can
like it completely blew it out of the water when I had very, very low expectations.
Yep. So sorry. Saints Row 4 is amazing. I actually won a copy of the Winter DLC today, so I'm really looking forward to playing that. But yeah, Zelda definitely wins this round for me.
Cool.
Everybody wins. Stanley Parable versus Risk of Rain.
I hate this round.
I'm going Risk of Rain.
I can't pick.
Stanley Parable is one of the most important games ever created. I say that Stanley Parable taught me things about narrative in video games. Risk of Rain has kept me up until 4 o'clock in the morning for almost the last 2 weeks straight.
Which is saying something because you're usually the first to like baby out when we're playing games.
I am. Risk of Rain.
Yeah.
Risk of Rain has made me ignore my fiance. Like
Really?
Stanley Parable, I was
God.
like, "Hey, come watch this. This is great." Risk of Rain was get out.
Get out of the
boys are
room.
playing.
Okay, but that raises another point: is that Stanley Parable is sort of this
Again,
weird.
Stanley Parable is super important.
No,
we got
okay,
a bunch
but
of friends together over at Jack's
exactly.
house.
It's this weird thing where it offers this almost community-like interaction between players where if you're all like watching the game, then you're all playing the game.
Yeah.
Well, no.
No.
Unless everybody's
I understand.
deciding.
I think I understand what you're saying. The game invites discussion.
It does.
Good or whether you like it or dislike it. I mean, we spent a good amount of time discussing it, and like the discussion wasn't heated. It wasn't angry. It was just two people, cutting the cheese.
Yeah. I really have to go with Risk of Rain though. I continuously enjoyed its more meaty and it's it's more of a game. Like,
Yeah.
story-wise, Risk of Rain falls completely flat. I haven't been able to sit through the entire opening cinematic because it's so goddamn boring.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I sat through it, but like
it's flat, but
yeah, the game is very much built on its deceptively deep gameplay.
right.
Yeah. I mean, Risk of Rain is a roguelike that you can play with friends, which is amazing. There are randomized
holy
elements.
shit.
It's permadeath.
Multiplayer roguelikes need to be more
Of a thing?
a thing. Like,
Ugh, I wish I could say things, but I'm not allowed to.
I'm gonna say Stanley Parable.
I'm gonna say Risk of Rain. Okay, here's the thing.
I'm saying Stanley Parable because it's going to be 2 out of 3 against, and I want Stanley Parable to just...
Here's the thing. Stanley Parable does not win. In an alternate dimension where we're talking about the greatest games of our time, Stanley Parable wins the entire Game of the Year discussion, hands down, in my opinion. Stanley Parable is a game that needs to be played by everyone, and I feel like most people need to get at least 10 of the endings.
I will say that love it or hate it, the game, I think,
it did some amazing things with narrative. Like, it really did. And I feel like Mike hasn't gotten to appreciate that yet. And he only played it now because I, forced him to before we did this discussion.
Yeah, well, and I think that actually might be part of it. That was a game that I plan on doing on my own time. Like, just kind of sitting down, because I know there's a shitload of endings.
Yeah.
But for me, I wanted to do it the same way I did Bioshock Infinite. Just go in, filter out all the hype, and just kind of sit down and experience it my way. And I'm willing to give the game a second chance. I will at least say that much for it.
Oh yeah, well you have to, or we're not friends. That's the problem.
No, well, I mean, and that's okay. But yeah, I will definitely give the game a second chance. I'm willing to go through a few more of the endings and see if my mind has changed. I guess just right now with the endings I got and the way the game presented itself to me, I just wasn't feeling it. But I will not say that is at all a fault of the game's design or the technical prowess of it. I will say that is just entirely how I view narrative in video games.
I think Risk of Rain was more fun, and that's...
Yeah, and then at the end of the day, Risk of Rain is just a fucking blast.
Because the thing is, after we're done recording this, I want to go play a game of Risk of Rain. I don't, No,
yeah.
I've been at work every day telling my boss to play Stanley Parable. I've also been like, hey, you should play Risk of Rain, but, every day I'm like, hey, you have a copy of Stanley Parable, go play that. Stanley Parable is amazing. And the way that they've pushed it around and that they've had different important people play it. Like, if you watch the Steam Train version of the demo, they have the narrator record stuff specifically for them. And so not only is it fun to play, not only is it fun to get other people to play it, not only is it fun to play the demo, it's also fun to go watch other people's experiences with the game because they have created more content for specific people that enjoy it in a certain way that it's even more fun to watch it happen that way. So Stanley Parable is an amazing not game.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Bioshock versus Pokemon.
Whew.
Pokemon did a really good job of reinvigorating the series. It added not too many more Pokemon and freshened up all of the old ones. The visuals are a much welcome upgrade from the previous sprite-based games and the bad pseudo 3D stuff.
Yeah.
And Pokemon battles actually, the way that they animate and the way they queued up all of the Pokemon make your Pokemon feel less like items and more like creatures, like pets. That said, it's fucking Pokemon and I'm still not in love with it like I want to be.
Yeah, I'm going Bioshock. That's...
Yeah.
Yeah, Bioshock Infinite, no question. I think my fiance would argue, but, she's not here on the podcast. All right, so now this is a hard one, but I've already decided between Zelda, Link Between Worlds, and Risk of Rain. Let's start with Mike.
Fuck.
If you had thrown Zelda, Link Between Worlds, and Stanley Parable in the same one, Stanley Parable would have won for me. So there's really no question. Risk of Rain is a better game to me than Link Between Worlds. When I am done with Link Between Worlds, I will probably not touch it for another 10 years. And that's only if they re-release it in HD.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I'm already on my second playthrough of Link Between Worlds.
Yeah. Link Between Worlds. Well, it has...
Hero mode.
Yeah, it has hero mode. Risk of Rain, I've beaten it 3 times. I
Yeah.
really want to go play it again because it's different every time.
Right, and...
Link Between Worlds is this perfectly crafted experience. Risk of Rain is rough around every single edge, and every time we play it, something different happens, and we get angry at different things. We're excited about different things. And
right.
that makes it so much more visceral and much more fun for me than Link Between Worlds.
I think for me, I'm just gonna go with Link Between Worlds. And once again, not to discredit anything about Risk of Rain. Obviously that game is a fucking blast, but A Link Between Worlds, I don't know, it hit me in a point of just like pure childhood glee and just like that a sense of wonder that I thought I was not able to experience anymore. That I thought I had. Well, no, like
No,
like,
you're right. I completely get it. It's the idea of like I thought my childhood was dead, but it found it for me.
exactly. No, like A Link Between Worlds kind of brings you this little shining gem in a box. It goes, hey, we've been hanging on to this for a while. I think you should have it. And like you said, when you open it up, it's that childhood sense of wonder of like just holy shit. This is like you said earlier, just completely lacking in cynicism, completely lacking in any manner of negativity. That I guess in that regard, just on that level, I'm probably gonna go for Zelda, even though I know I'm gonna be weighed out by Levi's vote here.
And
just because
it's important to note, Levi has not played Zelda. So.
Right. Well, yeah. Which
But
to Levi's credit there, like he's got to vote Risk of Rain just because he hasn't played Zelda yet. But I think I'm gonna go Zelda here just because like I've never had so much fun with a game that innocent in a long time.
I will speak for Levi like I often do, despite him being right here. I think he
Right
would
here.
enjoy. I think he would enjoy Risk of Rain more than Zelda.
Probably. Risk of Rain is honestly the
It seems like it plays to your taste.
Yeah, the amount of game that's there for as little that I guess is depicted is like off the charts. Like the ratio of game to assets is ridiculous. Like it's a game that I can keep coming back to and keep coming back to. I've gotten achievements for like dying 50 times, and that was like within the first couple days. I've played that game a lot, and just the ability to sort of get in that mindset and get in that world is something that I can't do for a lot of games anymore.
Yep, so I've got to go Risk of Rain over Zelda, despite how amazing Zelda is, and it is definitely the best 3DS game of the year.
Cool.
Oh yeah, like that's hands down.
Without question. And like this has been an amazing year for the 3DS. Like we had Fire Emblem on here, we had Pokemon, we had Animal Crossing. Like they were all great games.
Did you play Shin Megami Tensei 4?
Yeah, I'm still playing it, still not sure if I like it. It's Pokemon for adults. I'm not sure if I'm that great at that, but
Okay.
Shin Megami Tensei 4 is great. The story is garbage for the most part.
Okay.
But you did get $30 store credit if you bought both Shin Megami Tensei 4 and Fire Emblem. So I felt like, well, I'm basically getting this game for $20. And Ace Attorney's not on here. There's no way that the new Phoenix Wright is going to be better than anything on this list, but I'm sure it's good.
I'm really glad we got to the last one, and then we just started talking about 3DS games that weren't even on this list.
Right at the finish
line. All right, fine. I was just trying to delay the inevitable, which is
because we
know it's
probably
coming.
sitting there about to blow up. Yeah, which do I choose?
And the thing is, like, I think I know where I land on this one. So
I was just gonna ask, like, does anybody know for sure without talking about it which one they're definitely gonna pick? And Fred, maybe.
I think I do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Fred, you've got to go first on this one then.
All right.
No, I can't. You guys have to.
The last matchup: Bioshock Infinite versus Risk of Rain.
Yeah.
I'll pop it off. Here's the thing: Bioshock Infinite is an amazing game experience. And Risk of Rain is super fun. Bioshock tells an amazing story with pretty weak gameplay, in my opinion. And Risk of Rain tells a really boring story with an amazing set of gameplay. And in fact, the narrative told by Risk of Rain feels like it shouldn't even be there compared to the stories that come out of the gameplay sessions of Risk of Rain. So you've got the amazing gameplay plus the stories that come out of it. Bioshock Infinite, I will go back and play a few more times because it's an amazing game. It's probably one of the best games ever made because of how well it told a story. And it got me to care about Bioshock, a franchise that I thought was just always going to be terrible to me. So but I mean, at the end of the day, I still go with Risk of Rain.
I'm gonna take the opposite stance. I'm gonna throw my hat in the corner for Bioshock Infinite. The way that it told its story was superb. Like if I had to pick one thing that I want games to do more, that would be to tell a cohesive narrative, to lay it out in such a way that it makes me progress through the game just to want to hear the story. And you know what? You say the gameplay was bad.
No,
it lacked depth or something. I'm not sure. but I
it
thought
did
it was
nothing
good.
for me in terms of gameplay.
I
That is
thought
okay
it was,
though.
I
That
thought
is
it was
okay.
fantastic. Like I enjoyed the skyhook system. I liked.
I just wish that the
gunplay.
skyhook system. I wish the skyhook system was momentum based.
Momentum based. I know.
That is my only concern, and I don't know if I've voiced it on the show. I wish
we've
that.
talked about it
Yeah,
before.
you have.
Okay, well, being able to click a button and all of a sudden move very fast and then already be on this super sweet death trap is not cool. I wish that I had to run, jump on it, and then I felt like there was some sort of reason for me to go as fast as I did. But when I jumped on the skyhook, all of a sudden I was Sonic the Hedgehog, and that's not cool. That's my problem with the skyhook system.
Your problem is that you're like Sonic the Hedgehog. Are you serious?
What you're saying
let's move
is that
on.
you're angry
Let's move
because
on.
Bioshock is more Sonic than Hedgehog than Sonic the Hedgehog
Yeah,
is.
that's what you're
Listen,
saying.
Sonic Lost Worlds isn't on this list, so we don't need to talk about Sonic.
For good reason.
Sonic done fucked up this year. We're moving on.
So yeah, I guess I'm the
Yeah.
Well,
tiebreaker here.
no, not quite. You're gonna present your case, and then we're gonna argue about how Risk of Rain is better.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm not done.
You're going to offer a rebuttal, is what you're saying.
I'm gonna fight you. God
he's
damn
gonna
it.
fight tooth and nail. He's gonna go down with the ship. Man, I like. I think I'm gonna have to go with Levi on this, and I know Fred is already jotting down his notes about how we're wrong.
God damn it.
But
No, go for it.
no, I like because I agree with Levi. Like Bioshock Infinite did a lot of things that I didn't think I was going to see in a AAA game. I tend, as I'm sure is very apparent, like smaller developers, not like indie developers, but like smaller developers usually capture my attention a lot more than like the AAA titles. And I know I'm going to parrot myself here when I say this, but like for a AAA developer to kind of take the risks they did in the narrative space with that game and to dedicate an entire story where you don't play the main character, to me, I thought was a really brave choice to make. And like just the story itself, like you said before, Fred, actually, that game sits with you a lot longer. With Risk of Rain, I love that game. That game is super fun. The times that we've played together, I've had an absolute blast. But once I'm done with Risk of Rain, there's like a minute of, yeah, that was really cool taking on the like 8 Colossi and like the 4 Scavengers and everything's fucked, but we managed to clutch it out. I'm still thinking about certain narrative things in Bioshock Infinite and certain character aspects. And like, actually, after we're done here, my girlfriend came up to visit. We've been playing through it today, and I'm noticing things and looking at things and still getting a lot of these emotional cues that I had the first 4 or 5 times I've been through the game. Like the Battleship Bay sequence, still, that first song that you hear still hits me on a very emotionally resonant state. And while I don't think I'm as against the gameplay as you are, Fred, I do think there is some to be desired. I still think the game rises above its flaws to deliver an experience that is very powerful, very emotional, and tells a very human story.
Okay, so here's the thing. Bioshock Infinite, to its absolute credit, it did exactly what Levi said, which was tell a story that has the pacing right throughout the entire game. Like, it gets you interested in the beginning, then things happen, and you keep wanting to play to figure out exactly what's going on. And then when it hits you at the end, it's not unexpected, it's not out of nowhere, and it makes all sorts of sense once you've spent some time thinking about it. Here's where it goes off the rails, which is its DLC. And you can't argue that its DLC has nothing to do with the game itself, because the DLC counteracts the amazing ending in the game.
Which I will not disagree. I don't think that we're, like, I think where Levi and I are coming from is that we're looking just at the core game, no frills attached.
Sure, but like the thing is that the game is amazing because of its story, and then it continues to tell its story, and right now it can't continue to finish its story, but that'll happen eventually. What they did with the Burial at Sea DLC, at least part 1, was they kind of ruined the amazing twist at the end of Bioshock Infinite. Not completely, but it discredits a little bit of the multiverse wonderful things that happened.
Spoilers.
Yeah, fuck
Yeah,
it.
Jesus.
It's the end of the world.
Bleep that
Everybody
word.
should have played it. What? Oh, come on. Everybody.
No, it's fine. I don't care.
Sorry.
I feel
No,
like
and-
I feel like counting Burial at Sea Part 1 without knowing how Burial at Sea Part 2 plays out is almost unfair.
Okay.
I
So
will
maybe that
disagree
was a
there.
low-
I,
maybe that was a low blow.
I will disagree.
Yeah, but okay, we
Here-
all know that the series of events in that DLC don't make a whole lot of sense in the context of the ending of the main game, right?
Right. However, sequel baiting like that is very unfair to players.
Oh no, it's infuriating.
No, and that's my point. Like, I understand that the two pieces of DLC are linked and that they are meant to tell a larger story. But having that kind of sequel bait, especially considering most of these people bought the season pass, I think is unfair when you're trying to tell a linked story. I mean, I guess look at it in a different light. With The Walking Dead, obviously there's a lot of like holy shit cliffhanger hooks, especially considering the amount of time that was between each episode. But
That was a little more finite though, and that
Well,
was
it's-
building towards an end, not rewriting an ending.
let me finish. The point there with that though is that like there wasn't a lot of hype to buy the season pass. You know, a lot of people were kind of content to just go episode by episode and kind of figure things out, and so it had a better jumping off point. On top of that, those episodes were dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Burial at Sea episode 1 is what, like $15?
$15, $20 for the season pass,
Yeah, $20 for the season pass,
which comes with both parts and an extra
so
piece.
yeah, so if you're gonna go in, you're gonna go in, you know, full cock. You're gonna get the season pass because it's, you know, it's monetarily the better deal. So now you're committed to this thing that, like Fred says, not like the cliffhanger aside, whatever, it rewrites parts of the ending. Even if that's not what Ken Levine, as writer of the franchise, had in mind, it's what his game implied. And that game has been out long enough that it's not just his experience anymore, it is now the gamer's experience. Much in the same way that when George Lucas went and dicked around with the Star Wars films, everyone got up in arms, because when you release art out into the wild, even if it's incomplete, even if it's deeply flawed and you want to go in and change some things, or even if you're going to have a sequel piece to add on to that story, you know, again, going back to George Lucas, the prequel trilogy, people look at your games in a specific way and they interpret things in a specific way, both on the individual and on the you know, mass level. And everyone has seemed to agree on certain things on the mass level as far as how the mechanics and the metaphysics of that game works. And now we're presented with a situation that has basically said that the first game has lied to us, and that our ending in that game and the implications and the consequences of that ending are invalid, and that the powerful emotions that we felt
They were
for
misplaced.
naught.
Yeah.
They were misplaced. And so while I am with you, Levi, in saying let's wait till episode 2, hopefully they won't shit the bed, I can understand Fred's frustration, because you have had this moment where a lot of people shed tears over at the end of that game. I have witnessed my friends do it in person, and now you're presented with this like, well, wait, what do you mean?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do with this? So I guess in that regards, I can understand where Fred's coming from. I'm still going to toss my hat in for Bioshock Infinite over Risk of Rain, but I am going to make a hard addendum saying that I'm discounting the DLC as this. Like, do not buy the deal. Like, I'm going core vanilla.
Whoa.
You know.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you,
Bioshock
Levi?
Infinite.
What do you have to say about that?
I am apprehensive as far as like advocating the deal, either buying the DLC or not buying the DLC. I'm waiting right now. I think Bioshock Infinite, the base game, is one of the greatest video game narratives in terms of how it's told and its content.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like that those two DLCs together can form a more cohesive story if you're willing to wait for it.
All right. Well, here's
And
my other argument against Bioshock Infinite.
Jesus.
I have
You're just
one
not letting
more.
this go.
I have one more, and then you guys can decide. So
Okay.
Bioshock Infinite, more like
He's trying to make fart noises.
Yeah, and he's doing a really bad one.
Jeez.
Yeah, I thought that was gonna go better.
Yeah.
Risk of Rain is more fun.
Oh, Bioshock Infinite is what I want video games to be.
Walking Dead Season 2 Episode 1 is the game of the year.
It's not even out yet.
Yeah, I know, but it would be irresponsible of us not
When's
to
that
just
coming out?
immediately give it out. December 17th.
Oh.
Yeah, it comes out on the 17th. But like, what if it sucks? Telltale's working on
Dude.
like a bajillion different games.
Yeah, I know, but I cried at the end of Walking Dead. So
Didn't you also cry at the end of Bioshock?
no.
Oh, okay, you're one of like 5 people that didn't. Sorry, I've got so many people that have played this game now that I can't keep all the tears and the not tears.
I mean, it was good. It was really, really good.
I got choked up.
Yeah, no, I did. Fuck it, I'll admit it.
Man, that game
mean,
was
This has
good.
no soul.
Yeah, I have no soul. Bioshock Infinite was gonna be good.
You
In
guys
my
want
heart
to
of
go play
hearts-
Risk of Rain?
Yeah. In my heart of
If-
hearts, Stanley Parable wins Game of the Year, but
For all years, yeah.
for all, well, no, it really is my favorite game of the year, but it isn't the best game of the year. Are you guys happy with this? Was there something else that you thought maybe would beat out, or did you guys think that it was going to be these last two?
I think it's close.
I knew Bioshock was going to
yeah,
be in there.
I think it's close to what I thought it would be. I thought it would be Bioshock Infinite and Stanley Parable.
Yeah, I figured it was either going to be Stanley Parable, Risk of Rain, or Zelda.
Yeah, I mean that was my top 4. So let's do at least the top 5. So Bioshock Infinite is first place, hands down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then Risk of Rain is second place.
Close second.
Right.
Very close.
Close second. Third place, does it go to Link Between Worlds or Stanley Parable? I feel like Stanley Parable.
I gotta
deserves
say
it.
Stanley Parable, but
Yeah, I will concede.
that's coming
Okay.
from that's
Just because I know Zelda's going to be on the list anyways.
Zelda's
Yeah,
next.
it's next. No
Yeah,
question.
like-
Fourth is Zelda.
Zelda. Fifth has to be Metal Gear.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I was like, I will fucking punch whoever. Levi, I will fucking punch you.
I was gonna, like, between Saints Row 4 and Metal Gear Rising, I still put Metal Gear Rising above it. So I guess Saints Row 4 is my number 6.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm going Metal Gear because for me, that's my game of the year. Actually.
Yeah.
I'm
And
gonna
then-
have to make
GTA
an exact
5. Sorry, GTA 5 goes above Saints Row 4.
GTA
Right.
5 above Saints Row 4. Okay. Yeah, we didn't see
Yeah.
those two clash, so.
Oh yeah, but there wasn't really much of a discussion there. Saints Row 4 was fun for a few days. GTA 5 was fun for weeks.
Yeah.
Saints Row is 7th, I guess.
I think we're gonna have to
really
move
gonna-
all of these down a step and just go ahead and declare Age of Empires 2 Game of the Year.
What's up?
It did.
Yup. And it had rock solid DLC.
Rock solid DLC.
Yep. With banging new music.
Yeah, it's pretty rad.
Whoops.
Whoops.
So Game of the Year was Age of Empires 2 HD.
Yep.
It's unfortunate that at the very end there was that upset, but yeah,
All the units from Age of Empires came in and they slaughtered all the other games.
it's definitely what happened to the audio.
I think you mean all the other games were converted to Age of Empires by the monks.
Age of Empires
priests.
will load all over the place.
Yup.
You guys had something, right?
Oh, we were talking about music, soundtracks, and we got into the story about how,
What,
what was Jack doing?
what was Jack's
playing
favorite
games.
game?
Jack's favorite
And
game?
we kind of deduced that it was probably the Stanley Parable, because
Yeah.
he named his cat Stanley. Not cat, lizard. Lizards. Cats
His
are lizards,
lizard
right?
cat.
His lizard cat.
Whatever. I'm allergic to cats. I
His
don't care
game of the
about
year probably was Stanley Parable. That was a pretty fun night. That or GoldenEye.
them. That's just game of all time.
For some reason, I don't think that counts this year. I think it just missed the cutoff. So,
Yeah,
I think for Jack it counts.
yeah.
we've got a couple of listener comments this week.
Oh, jeez.
One comes from John Kleckner, who said, "Hey fellas, just wanted to let you know that you don't have to have a Game of the Year discussion next week because Pac-Man Championship Edition DX Plus already wins. Well, see ya." And,
What's up?
That game was amazing, but it was pretty much just a port of the amazing Xbox and PS3 version. So it did come out on Steam this year on PC, but
If Age of Empires can't, then
Age of
Pac-Man
Empires can't, and neither can Pac-Man. but he is right. That game is phenomenal. It reinvents Pac-Man in such a good way. You should pick it up.
reinvents Pac-Man.
It does. It wicked does.
I've played it. I know.
It's like a
but-
brilliant cross between like Metal Gear, Pac-Man, and
Jeez, with the
Geometry
Metal
Wars.
Gear.
It is. It's all about sneaking.
Oh, okay.
And then we've got a challenge from Shooby Dooby Doo, who says that he challenges us to watch The Taste of Tea without doing any research.
Okay.
So let's not research it, and I guess let's watch it. Maybe we
Okay.
can watch it together. That'd be fun.
That's usually how I do stuff, is no research involved.
Yeah.
Just
and then we'll
dip it on in.
Then we'll do all of the challenges from last week, which was Southland Tales for me and Mike. What was my challenge? I
killed Hitler.
And then Mike's was to watch Ghost in the Shell, which I'm packing all of my books and things. It turns out I have a number of the Dark Horse Ghost in the Shell 2.0 comics.
Uh-huh.
I wonder if those are worth anything.
I mean, they're okay.
The art's pretty.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll talk about all of those next week, as well as whatever the fuck Taste of Tea is. So, do you guys have anything else you want to throw in?
I know we mentioned it before, but we will be at IckyCon in Austin,
that's
Texas,
right.
the weekend after Christmas.
Yeah,
and
we will.
have a panel, right?
We do, I think. I don't know. They told us we could have a booth if we did a live Bancast, so we'll do a live Bancast.
I'm surprised they didn't say that you can have a booth as long as you don't do a live Bandcast. So
yeah.
that's
I don't know.
it's reassuring.
Yeah.
We've got some successful. I can't fucking talk anymore. Some successful panels under our belts this year. So
And we're gonna be doing so much more when I get to Texas.
yeah, oh yeah,
I have plans
I
for
mean,
us and
like
things.
rodeo blowjobs and everything. It's gonna be great.
Yeah,
I don't even want to know.
I don't know what that is. Why did I
You know.
agree to it?
You know.
Well, anyways, everybody go pick up a copy of Stanley Parable. Pick up a copy of Risk of Rain. I've heard that Starbound is pretty good. I haven't played it yet. It's the sequel to Earthbound, I think.
I don't think
up,
that's
come
true.
on.
Terraria, whatever.
Freddie, you literally know better about Earthbound.
I do, if anyone. Everybody pick up a second copy of Bioshock Infinite because everybody owns it by now. If you didn't pick it up during the VGX sale for $10, you're kind of a dumb. If you have a 3DS, you have no excuse not to get Zelda. It is the best 3DS game to be released.
It's literally validation for owning the console,
It runs at 60 frames per second in 3D mode,
which is that alone fucking blows my mind.
which means it's rendering at 120 frames per second, which is
Yeah.
bonkers. That's it, right?
Let's kill it.
Cool. Good night, Jack.
Good night, Jack.
Good night, Jack.
See, wherever human beings have been around, you see rectangles and straight lines. Because we're always trying to straighten things out. And so that's the very mark of our presence. I don't know why we do it. It's always been a puzzle to me.